image obtained, see photograph. For other uses, see photography, disambiguation. Photography is the art, application, and practice of creating durable images by recording light, either electronically by means of an image sensor, or chemically by means of a light-sensitive material such as photographic film. It is employed in many fields of science, manufacturing, example photolithography, and business, as well as its more direct uses for art, film and video production, recreational purposes, hobby, and mass communication. 1. Typically, a lens is used to focus the light reflected or emitted from objects into a real image on the light-sensitive surface inside a camera during a timed exposure. With an electronic image sensor, this produces an electrical charge at each pixel, which is electronically processed and stored in a digital image file for subsequent display or processing. The result with photographic emulsion is an invisible latent image, which is later chemically developed into a visible image, either negative or positive, depending on the purpose of the photographic material and the method of processing. A negative image on film is traditionally used to photographically create a positive image on a paper base, known as a print, either by using an enlarger or by contact printing. Etymology. The word photography was created from the Greek roots phiomegatau, photos, genitive of phi, phos, light 2 and gamma alpha phi, graphi, representation by means of lines or drawing, 3 together meaning drawing with light. 4. Several people may have coined the same new term from these roots independently. Hercules Florence, a French painter and inventor living in Campinas, Brazil, used the French form of the word, photographe, in private notes which a Brazilian historian believes were written in 1834. 5. This claim is widely reported but is not yet largely recognized internationally. The first use of the word by Florence became widely known after the research of Boris Kossoy in 1980. 6. The German newspaper Vossische Zeitung of February 25, 1839 contained an article entitled Photographe, discussing several priority claims, especially Henry Fox Talbot's, regarding Daguerre's claim of invention. 7. The article is the earliest known occurrence of the word in public print. 8. It was signed J.M., believed to have been Berlin astronomer Johann von Middler. 9. The astronomer John Herschel is also credited with coining the word, independent of Talbot, in 1839. 10. The inventors Nicéphore Niepce, Talbot, and Louis Daguerre seem not to have known or used the word photography, but referred to their processes as heliography, Niepce, photogenic drawing / Talbotype / colotype, Talbot, and daguerreotype, Daguerre. 9. History. Main articles, History of Photography and Timeline of Photography Technology. See also, History of the Camera. Precursor technologies. A camera obscura used for drawing. Photography is the result of combining several technical discoveries, relating to seeing an image and capturing the image. The discovery of the camera obscura, dark chamber in Latin, that provides an image of a scene dates back to ancient China. Greek mathematicians Aristotle and Euclid independently described a camera obscura in the 5th and 4th centuries BCE. 1112 in the 6th century CE, Byzantine mathematician Anthemius of Tralles used a type of camera obscura in his experiments. 13. The Arab physicist Ibn al-Haytham, Al-Hazan, 965 to 1040, also invented a camera obscura as well as the first true pinhole camera. 1214-15 The invention of the camera has been traced back to the work of Ibn al-Haytham. 16 While the effects of a single light passing through a pinhole had been described earlier, 16 Ibn al-Haytham gave the first correct analysis of the camera obscura. 17 Including the first geometrical and quantitative descriptions of the phenomenon. 18 And was the first to use a screen in a dark room so that an image from one side of a hole in the surface could be projected onto a screen on the other side. 19 He also first understood the relationship between the focal point and the pinhole. 20 And performed early experiments with afterimages, laying the foundations for the invention of photography in the 19th century. 15. Leonardo da Vinci mentions natural camere obscuri that are formed by dark caves on the edge of a sunlit valley. A hole in the cave wall will act as a pinhole camera and project a laterally reversed, upside-down image on a piece of paper. Renaissance painters used the camera obscura which, in fact, gives the optical rendering in color that dominates Western art. It is a box with a small hole in one side, which allows specific light rays to enter, projecting an inverted image onto a viewing screen or paper. The birth of photography was then concerned with inventing means to capture and keep the image produced by the camera obscura. Albertus Magnus, 1193–1280, discovered silver nitrate 21 and George Fabricius, 1516–1571, discovered silver chloride 22 and the techniques described in Ibn al-Haytham's Book of Optics are capable of producing primitive photographs using medieval materials. 2324. Daniel Barbaro described a diaphragm in 1566. 25. Wilhelm Homburg described how light darkens some chemicals, photochemical effect, in 1694. 26. The fiction book Jiffentai, published in 1760, by French author Tiphaine de la Roche, described what can be interpreted as photography. 25. Around the year 1800, British inventor Thomas Wedgwood made the first known attempt to capture the image in a camera obscura by means of a light-sensitive substance. He used paper or white leather treated with silver nitrate. Although he succeeded in capturing the shadows of objects placed on the surface in direct sunlight, and even made shadow copies of paintings on glass, it was reported in 1802 that the images formed by means of a camera obscura have been found too faint to produce, in any moderate time, an effect upon the nitrate of silver. The shadow images eventually darkened all over. 27. Invention. Earliest known surviving heliographic engraving, 1825, printed from a metal plate made by Nicéphore Niepce. 28. The plate was exposed under an ordinary engraving and copied it by photographic means. This was a step towards the first permanent photograph taken with a camera. View from the window at Le Gras, 1826, the earliest surviving camera photograph. Original plate, left, and colorized reoriented enhancement, right. View of the Prix de Carenlie en Prix de Carenbrug in Ghent, October 1839, Collection Stam, Ghent City Museum. The first permanent photo etching was an image produced in 1822 by the French inventor Nicéphore Niepce, but it was destroyed in a later attempt to make prints from it. 28. Niepce was successful again in 1825. In 1826 he made the view from the window at Le Gras, the earliest surviving photograph from nature, i.e., of the image of a real-world scene, as formed in a camera obscura by a lens. 29. View of the Boulevard du Temple, a daguerreotype made by Louis Daguerre in 1838, is generally accepted as the earliest photograph to include people. It is a view of a busy street, but because the exposure lasted for several minutes the moving traffic left no trace. Only the two men near the bottom left corner, one of them apparently having his boots polished by the other, remained in one place long enough to be visible. Because Niepce's camera photographs required an extremely long exposure, at least 8 hours and probably several days, he sought to greatly improve his bitumen process or replace it with one that was more practical. In partnership with Louis Daguerre, he worked out post-exposure processing methods that produced visually superior results and replaced the bitumen with a more light-sensitive resin, but hours of exposure in the camera were still required.